Having some technical difficulties. I had my screen on, like, do not rotate or whatever. So then it wasn't working. For going live in horizontal mode. I see. Thank you. I think so. It's pretty dark. Just really accentuate all my flaws with this big ass light. Perfect. It's such a dreary day today. Did you want to talk?
No, I'm good. I look crazy in the thumbnail. I'm just like dead-faced.
Well, because you were making sure I was doing a good job.
Yeah,
You were so focused.
I was focused.
Hello, hello.
Tell them our video comes out at 1.
Okay, yeah. So David and I we're starting a new series. It's called Ask B, where I ask stupid questions that I find that spiritual people are asking out there on the internet. And it airs at 1 o'clock Eastern today. So you'll be able to see that. It's actually really good and really fun, and I want to do more of them. I was thinking about it this morning. It's just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's good. It's good. I'm hoping maybe I'll have to ask more like basic questions. But I just find it so odd how like lost most people are. That's fine. But then when I think of like spiritual people and people like trusting their intuition and saying that they have an intuition that they trust, it's like they still seem so lost to me and so confused, and they're so caught up in all the narratives, and I don't know. It bothers me more with them than it does with just regular old folk. You know, I don't really care that they're lost. Like, it's like disappointing, but it's like, whatever. But I've been listening to Next Level Soul podcast, like sporadically. The guy's name that runs it is Alex, and he's had like Daryl Anka on and Bashar. And I find the whole interview so disturbing, and I'm like uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, wait, what? This is weird. Like, none of this tracks for me. You know, they were like joking about like dinosaurs or something. And it was like lighthearted, you know, like talking about dinosaurs. And I was like, wait, like, you don't go down the path of like dinosaurs aren't even real, and like all the bones that they found, they're fake. Like, if anything, it's potentially giants that they're finding. Like, none of the dinosaur bones in any of the museums are actual real bone. Like, no? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, dinosaurs are real. And then, like, he was interviewing, this astrologer that I used to really like back in the day. Deborah Smith something? I'm totally drawing a blank on her name. Anyway, I really liked her when I was big into astrology. And she put out this like video series of each archetype of each sign, like all 12 signs, and like how they would be, like an interview style. And it was so good and so fucking funny. And that's how I think maybe how I first found her. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is hilarious. It was like so like spot on to the archetypes that people play. And now I don't care so much for astrology. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like, I just don't care. I don't know my interest for it. I tried to get back into it even recently, and I'm just like, Like, it's like, it just doesn't do it for me. But anyway, she was also on that podcast, and they were talking about like how amazing something is, or like this place is, or the universe, and that we're spinning around the sun and how incredible that is. And And I was like, huh? I was like, wait, really? Like, there's just these consensus thoughts that people talk about so openly and freely. And even Bashar or Daryl Anka or whatever the heck, he was talking about like the moon landing and like, you know, obviously that was real. And I'm just thinking like everyone knows that, like everyone now knows that the moon landing was fake, but like we're still going to go along with that. Like that's so weird. Like there was this, yeah, he was talking about the moon landing, and what did he say? Oh, because he was, oh God, I can't even. It was so irritating to me, but it was just like the advancement of technology. So like when things start to change and advance, it advances at rapid speed because once it gets adopted, it's like, you know, a domino effect of what is possible and what humans are possible of achieving. And one of the things he cited as a seemingly impossible feat was when we landed on the moon. And then now how that's turned into Mars, and how he recently saw a photograph of the sun setting on Mars and how amazing that was. And I was just like, I was like, you know, like, no, we don't. No, you don't know. Okay. That's weird. That's weird. It's weird to me. It's weird. It's weird to just talk about these blanket things, consensus reality that like everyone just nods along and agrees with. It's weird to talk about that as a spiritual person, as a channel, I would think. Like it seems like there should be like a disclaimer after everything. And it makes me not trust his channel. And I don't trust his channel anyway. I don't know why I'm going on this Bashar tear, but I am. I was, a long time ago, Bashar was like, you know, cool or whatever. I don't know, he's cooler now, but like in 2017 is when I first heard of him. And that's when David first started channeling too. Or 2016 technically, but anyway. And it was always about like following your highest excitement. That's like his thing. And it's just, it feels so ungrounded. And it's great for the spiritual people that are manic and ungrounded. Sure, that works. And I guess that could kind of work in a place where you're like miserable and hate your job and you think that this is it. And like you don't believe in anything outside of physical reality and you think it's up to you to achieve everything and do all your goals. And like, I guess it's good to like break that. But then it's just weird because then I listened to something more recent, but still like in the 2020 era, and he was advising someone that the mRNA is in fact safe. But the choice is yours. But it is safe because you need to trust the facts. And I was just like, what? I was like, wait, I get a check in and I'm like repulsed by the whole thing. Like, what the hell? Like, how are we not, like, you know, you're a channel allegedly pulling through something benevolent, and like how I feel like I'm pulling through something benevolent, my intuition, my direct line to God. I don't have to go into trance to check in to tell me like yes or no for shit. Like it's a weird. And then like, how is that shaping people? And people are just giving over their sovereignty, what little sovereignty that we have, if we even have any, because I don't think we do. They're giving over like their authority to Bashar. Yuck. Like yuck to the max. It's just so disturbing to me. So that was one thing. And then the other most recent thing was when he said, you know, if the woman gets elected, we'll have open contact. And if the man gets elected, we'll go into World War III. And it's just like, everything just feels so off base. Like, why are you even talking about those things? Like, why aren't you talking about the things that are relevant for the people in your audience? Like, for their spiritual evolution? I just don't think he's light at all. And in his interview on that podcast, Daryl was saying how he's getting more and more like famous, not to be egoic, but he said he was getting more and more famous and recognized, like even at TSA, and people feel comfortable talking to him because they know what he knows and he knows what they know. And I was just like, ugh, ugh. He's like, people are waking up. And I'm like, yeah, this is the design. Like, you guys have been crafting this. Darkness has been crafting this. I'm putting him in the darkness category. Has been crafting this for eons. Like, they've been at this for so long. Like, it makes sense that now would be enough seeds have been just planted for disclosure. Enough seeds have been planted for contact, for Project Bluebeam to come to fruition and for it to be really real. And like, I even think what they can do, I mean, I don't know, but it feels like what they can do with the nanotechnology and the frequencies and how they can manipulate our brain and manipulate our body and sensations in our body for us to feel certain things or think certain things. Like, it seems very feasible to create some sort of alien event and have everyone really believe it because they felt it, because they were there, they saw it. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, because I'm just not buying any of it at all. And I don't know what that says about me or what that means, but I'm just not. Like, I can't. I'm not. So that's what I've been thinking about lately, is like all the shitty channels in the world. And I know, like, I'm sure the way that we thumbnailed, sure, it's a verb. The way we thumbnailed this image for Ask B, it's going to attract a lot of those types of people. I'm going to be so annoyed. I feel like it's going to be kind of gross, just like the Law of One video. But I really want to find the people that like resonate and that are questioning the same things. And that it flags for them too when people joke about like dinosaurs and, lightheartedly talk about dinosaurs and the shape of the earth and that we're spinning through space. And like, those need to still be question marks in our everyday conversation. Like, when I check in, what I get is that it's domes within domes. That's all I can see. It's like a flat plane and there's just several domes. David asked me if we can get to those domes, and I don't really know. I do think there's land beyond the ice wall, for sure. I do think there's an ice wall. Like, all that stuff checks out for me. I spent a lot of time checking in about it. I don't get the sense that we're spinning. I used to think we were spinning, but I don't know. There's a map. There's a specific map. I screenshot it and saved it back in 2020 that I saw, and I was like, yes, this is it. And it's a flat earth map. And then there's like our land masses, and then there's land masses out beyond that. And it just hit. I was like, yup. It's like a map from like the 1530s or whatever. But like, everyone has to be on their own journey with that and their own process of checking in. And like, I don't really trust other people's processes of checking in. I think we're so biologically manipulated. Most people are. I don't see them as free. They're still living in obligations and supposed tos and, the F word, familial rule sets. Like, all these unspoken rules of how to be in your family and how to be a good person. Like, so many people live within that. Like, why would I trust that they have access to check in and really stand on something? Like, me standing on domes within domes is no different than people standing on globe. Like, it's like, they're both ridiculous. And we can't prove either one, intentionally so. And I don't think we've left here. I don't think we can leave. I think that's their obsession with like constantly piercing the dome or trying to like bounce off the ice wall or the firmament. Like, they're obsessed with space, and it's weird. Like, isn't that weird? Like, why aren't you obsessed with here? There was something else that Bashar was bothering me about. Daryl. No, it was Bashar. There's something about, he was talking about like becoming a member of the Interstellar Alliance, like how to become a citizen of the Interstellar Alliance. You guys, I'm telling you, I've gone deep into this. I have. Nobody wants to go here except the people that do. The people that don't want to go there, don't go there. I don't want to go there, and I go there because I need to figure out what's going on. But he's talking about like the 6 steps to become a member of the Interstellar Alliance. Don't ask me how. I don't fucking know. Because like we're also going to need to be like global citizens of the earth. Like there's this whole like, which is very UNified. Like it's very like the whole global citizen, the whole one world religion. Like it's like that's where all of this is pressing. And people are just going to adopt it. And then you're going to have the loonies that are far out on the fringes of this, and they're going to also say that they're citizens of the Interstellar Alliance. I remember, was it Interstellar? Oh no. The Ashtar Command? I forget what we were doing in 2017, and I remember feeling into one of them. Was it Ashtar Command? And it just felt like this big, like very sterile, like sterile as in like lots of stainless steel kind of vibe, and like bright lights and open and lots of rooms. And I think that's where allegedly they have all the like seeds and all the everything that makes up Earth. I don't fucking know. But I remember feeling into it back then, and I was like, this is weird. It was very like, it was like the futuristic version of Noah's Ark. Like it felt like a big ship, like a floating type ship, not like an in the water boat. And then like pairs of everything. Not really in pairs like the Noah's Ark gets depicted, but like just everything. Like all the seeds, all the flowers, all the animals, all the ways, but almost like in test tube form. Like it didn't seem like there was like a zoo with zebras. It seemed like there were like, I don't know, it's just my felt sense from checking in with it and scanning. But I remember thinking that was really weird. And I don't want to be a part of any of that stuff. It feels very clear to me that we're here to be human. And it's not about any of this. And I think that's what I love about David's channel so much, because it's funny to go into this, right? And then David is a channel, and he brings through really profound information that's deeply personal, that just hits and makes sense and tracks and checks out with my own knowing. Like it has to check out with my own knowing. Otherwise, like I'm sounding all the alarms. I'm waving the red flags. Like, and I hope other people would do the same. But I think that's what makes David so great, is like, and his ability to channel and bring through this information, is it feels very personal and very relevant, and it like tracks with what I'm experiencing, what we're experiencing. And it's not at all any of these talking points. It's not about becoming a citizen of the Interstellar Alliance. That shit's fucking, that sounds ridiculous. That's like, and Bashar was talking about how you can like get comfortable introducing yourself that way to people. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. Hi, I'm Miriam. I'm a citizen. Not only am I a global citizen, but I'm a citizen of the Interstellar Alliance as well. It's like, nobody fucking cares. No one would give a shit. Can you imagine someone caring? It's so disconnected from reality. It's crazy. And the more I look out there, the more I think like everyone's fucking crazy. Like I think about, can I tilt this down a little more? I think about Jesus. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. it's a big question mark for me. Was he a real dude? Is this just a story? Like, how deep are we in this thing? And isn't it a red flag that, like, it's blasphemous to talk bad about Jesus? You know, that's kind of weird. It's like, homeboy's dead. What does he care if you're talking shit about him? Like, wouldn't you ideally push back? Wouldn't you push back on God or the Son of God? I don't know. There's just too many things just aren't adding up. And I feel annoyed. Not super annoyed, but just a little bit. Annoyed enough to make content about it. And to start this series, Ask B. Yeah, I'm thinking about the earth thing, the shape of the earth. Because if someone just stood firm in it, right, if they were like, oh, well, yeah, it's obviously a globe. I mean, without the brainwashing. But the brainwashing is so thick. Like, they have globes in our classroom at like preschool age. Like, what? We don't need that. But anyway, I guess if someone was really standing firm in the globe, I just don't know how you can. You can stand firm in the question mark. I don't know how you can stand firm in the globe once you go down the rabbit hole. I don't think you can anymore. And I think that with everything, like I was listening to the Elon Musk, Joe Rogan podcast. Again, like it's all stupid. But I kind of think it's funny. It's like, it's just ridiculous, honestly. The whole thing is just so ridiculous. Like there's just this like villainous guy talking about space and, you know, again, the dual citizenship thing, like colonizing Mars and Earth. Like you can live in both. But anyway, what was I going to say? I was listening to that podcast and, oh, what was it? I don't know. I totally lost the thread. Oh, well, maybe this is a new one. But I was thinking how, like, severely people are brainwashed. Like, if you, like, Elon's bad and Trump is bad and Elon's ruling the country and Trump, you know, I don't even know. I don't know what the left is saying. But they were talking about, like, media and propaganda and how it can change someone's opinion about something. And it's just so true. And, like, people talk about it and they know about it, but they don't think that their opinion is being influenced by the media. But yet they talk about how other people's opinions are influenced by it. It's like, yeah, and so is yours. And Joe Rogan is just as much of a shill as Elon. Like, they're characters. They're characters in this, like, LARPing thing that we're doing that isn't even real life. Like, to participate in any of these conversations and to have, like, a real opinion about them just seems stupid because, or like a strong opinion, like people that like hate Elon Musk or hate Trump, I'm like, or hate Biden, even though for me, Biden is like, I don't know, he seems like one of those, like, I mean, first of all, he seems like he's been dead like 100 times over. Like, I don't even think that's the OG Biden. That's what I get when I check in. Do I have any evidence? No, maybe his earlobes, you know, they change from time to time. Like, but like, the whole thing about him, he doesn't even seem real. It reminds me of Man in the High Castle when like the Faya is dead and then they like still act as though he's alive, like, you know, or Weekend at Bernie's or whatever. Like, it's like, it's definitely giving that kind of vibe and just tricking people. And people are thinking it's real. And then people like talk about it at the water cooler as though the things that are happening are real. And people are very upset about Trump. I mean, I live in Massachusetts, so Trump is bad here. And it's just weird. It's weird to see that the things of why they don't like him are the scripts that MSM has given them. Like, it's like, oh, wait, you're just reciting what CNN said earlier, what CNN said for the last like 8 years. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, all of your opinions are given to you. And I think that's strange. And like, when I check in about Trump, what do I get? It's kind of just like nothing. Like, I don't know. It's like jokes. Like, it all just feels frivolous. And it doesn't really matter. He doesn't like trigger me in the way that I see these lefties so triggered and disgusted by him. Yeah, I had a realization this morning. So there's a vendor here that I can't fucking stand. And I've talked about this in more of our private videos. And I just can't stand him. He's like classic narcissist, you know, can't be held accountable, wallows, does no wrong, has excuses for everything. But then when the circumstances change, he has a new set of excuses. And then when you try to apply the old excuses, I mean, reasons for why he couldn't do A, B, and Z, A, B, and Z, A, B, and C, it changes. Like, it's nothing's consistent. He's just a buffoon. And one of my neighbors, who's a super lefty, she was telling me, she's like, the way you feel about that vendor is the way I feel about Trump. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then I was like sitting with it. This was like a couple weeks ago, she said this. And then I sat with it this morning because I was listening to Elon and Joe talk about Trump derangement syndrome and all that stuff, syndrome. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I was like, it's interesting to have such a strong visceral reaction to Trump, but to not have that, like Trump is like given to us to have that visceral reaction. Like all of that is crafted. But like here I am upset about a vendor who's like, he's the embodiment of like what works here on earth, which is like slimy, shisty, like manipulative narcissists. Like those go far here. They do well in the dome. You can't convince me otherwise. They just do. Because people like us put up with it and don't ever stand up to it. And we think there's something wrong with us. And, you know, but it's like, no, that fucktard is embodying a demon and you need to call it out. Which I did, obviously, and continue to do, obviously. But like, it's weird to have a visceral reaction to something, to someone that has zero impact in your direct life. And then to not have that reaction to someone who is immediately affecting your surroundings and the people around you. Because it gets written off as like, oh, well, he's not that bad. Or, you know, oh, he's just, like, they humanize him. But he's the same level of fucktard as the other one. But the other one, in this instance, Trump, it's like, yeah, but you don't know him. You don't have his phone number. You can't email him. You can't talk to him. You can't walk the property with him. Like, he's not here. He's like, he's just as much of a character as any other character on any show on TV. Like, he's not real in the way, he's only real in the way that they've made him real in your mind. And yet here we have someone like physically, like within arm's length, real, that is just absolute scum of the earth. Like but you don't want to see that. You don't want to acknowledge that. You don't want to stand up to that. Like that's the thing to talk about. Not all these narratives that we've been given to talk about of what Trump did or didn't do or what he did or didn't sign or how he's I don't know, what is he, a Hitler or something? And what was even Hitler, you know? Like, gosh, and the 6 million, was it really? I don't don't know. I just have a lot of questions and there's not a lot of answers, but there's a lot of consensus thought that people just unanimously agree with and nod along with. And it's getting like, I don't really feel lonely, like in that like lonely way, but it's like the sample size of people is getting a lot smaller the more that I refine and push back and ask questions. I don't know, just the way it is. And I'm not changing it. I'm not going to suddenly stop asking questions. I'm not going to suddenly be like, oh yeah, I think that was probably the sunset on Mars. It's like, I don't even know what Mars is. And neither do you. Yeah, we want like certainty because we feel more comfortable. This is all in quotes. We feel more comfortable to have some level of certainty, even if that certainty is false. We'd rather live in false certainty and not admit that it's false. Maybe kind of admit it, but not really, not think too much about it. Than just live in all the question marks that we live in and deal with our direct circumstances that are challenging enough. Or maybe your life isn't really that challenging and things are going well and everything's like pretty good. And then it's just kind of boring. So you like hook on to these like drama stories and start LARPing around the water cooler as if you're as if you're in it. And I don't really get the like sense like when people talk about like oh they're siphoning our energy and you know they feed off of our fear and they siphon our fear and use that for fuel or whatever. I don't know. None of that really tracks for me. I'm like, you can be afraid, it's fine, but like ultimately, we're good. I just don't think it works like that. It seems more like psychological, biological manipulation. Like I don't think they're using our fear as food to feed them. I don't know. For some reason, there's like snags in that. That doesn't totally check out for me. I've heard it enough times that you would think like, oh yeah, 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 I know that. But like, that's not what I get. I think they'd rather keep us like subdued and happy and like go along to get along and never really fulfill our purpose here. Like never really do what we came here to do. I think that's the preferred method, which is like keep people working their soulless job, but like give them more money. The less soul, the more money. So they don't even realize it. And then if they do have some moments intermittently here and there where they start questioning things, like basically have them in a configuration of life where they wouldn't want to leave, like where they couldn't give up their yacht. True story, based on a true story. Or where they'd have to pull their kids out of private school. It's like, yeah, maybe your kids are going to have to go to public school with the rest of the idiots. Or you're going to have to homeschool them, which you would never do because then that would require you to not work. And then you couldn't not work because then who would you be without your job? And, it goes into this whole thing. So it's easy to keep people stuck. It's easy. Darkness has mastered this. It's really easy to keep people siloed and stuck. And then they never do what they came here to do. And I think that the unfortunate truth is that that's most people. Most people will never do what they actually came here to do as a soul. That's kind of sad when you feel into it. It's like so unfortunate. But I mean, you scan it, you check in, look around. The people in your life, like, are they really doing it? Like, you can feel when people are doing what they're here to do. Like, it's like, oh, yeah. We went to this cute little cafe the other day, Thursday, when we went to pick up the beef liver, which I have, by the way. So if you want any beef liver, I have plenty. I have plenty. For like, it'd probably last me like a month and a half, maybe 2 months. But she has another cow going out. He should be back a week after the time change. I need to put that in my calendar. Anyway, so we went to this cute little cafe, and it was just so obvious that that's what it's a husband and wife owner, and it's so obvious that that's what they're supposed to be doing. I could see so much light in the wife's eyes. It was crazy. I was like, oh, I almost said something to her. I almost was like, you're connected to God, aren't you? But then I didn't. And we ended up talking to her husband. He's the cook, and he brought out the chef, and he brought out the food, which was really nice. We were the only ones there. 'Cause it was like an odd time that we went. It was like 2 o'clock or something. But they have like such a good thing going, and it was really cool. And you can just tell, like, it's like, oh yeah, like they're doing it. Like, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're like in the community in this way. They recommended that we go to this little shop, which we did. Like, yeah, it's just, when it's just like, oh yeah, this is how they bring light here. Like, they're doing it through their smoked meatballs. Like, it was really cool. I always think of that, and I've always thought of this for a really long time. I feel like the like greatest, I don't know, I used to think of it in this way, but like the greatest healers or light workers are the ones that are doing the like basic jobs, like hairdresser, baker. Like it's in those ways. Not, I don't see it in the like tech world or like software engineer or coding. Like, that feels very like sterile. Not so much dark, but just like sterile. Like, it's like, oh, it just freezes you. There's no actual like real growth there as a soul. It just feels very stagnant. But then when I think of these jobs of like interacting with the general public and getting your hands on people, like hairdresser, massage therapist, body worker, like there's so much depth there. There's so many conversations you get to have with people, like enriching conversations that you wouldn't meet in like a sterile office cubicle environment. Yeah, any job with customer service just feels highly transformational. It can be, it has the potential to be. And the people that you can impact in those settings, I've been watching this random, this is how I spend my time, like sniffing out culture. But I've been watching Roman Atwood on YouTube. He was like a big prank channel back in the day. That was kind of his claim to fame. And then I don't know what happened. Like, he kind of like disappeared for a while because he had some like crazy stalkers and I don't know, all sorts of stuff. But he's married. He's got, I think, 4 or 5 kids. And they live in Ohio. And he's been vlogging for the last like 300 and something days now. He wants to make it a full year. And either in this time or a little before this time, he bought a laundromat and then he bought a car wash. And it's so interesting watching him because, I mean, he's still a prankster at heart and teases people all the time. But it's so interesting seeing him now. He's like 41 years old, owns a laundromat, and like goes in and talks to the locals. And he kept all the girls that worked there before. They still all work there. And like they're just like regular people, just regular old ladies. Like, there's one young girl and the rest are older. But it's like, I don't know. I just like it. I like observing it. I like watching his interactions with people. And he came from like no money in Ohio, just grew up really poor, and then like made it big and has all this money and has a helicopter and a huge fucking house, and but he still feels so like grounded and connected to the things that actually matter. I don't know, it's just kind of cool. It's cool to witness. I like it. It just feels real. So like him, right? Like I see light in him. I'm like, oh yeah, he's totally doing what he's supposed to be doing. And it's so unassuming. They bought a car wash, and then there's an apartment above it, and they had the tenants just stay until the end of their lease. They didn't want to kick them out when they bought it. They didn't think that'd be fair. But then the tenants finally moved out, and now they're redoing it to make it into an Airbnb. Because like people, it's like a destination. Like people will travel hours and hours and hours to go to his laundromat. So like now they can stay at above the car wash. And like he sells his merch at the laundromat. He's got all these like games, the claw machine games and stuff. I don't know. It's just interesting. I was thinking about it last night when I was watching him. I was like, oh man, he's like, it's like his life is made like a full circle. Like he did all the fame stuff, and now he's like, granted the fame is still generating money for his laundromat because people are coming there because it's him and his family and they grew up watching him. But there's just this really like grounded element to it all. And I think it's cool. I feel like this is not what people talk about. People don't talk about Bashar and then Roman Atwood. It was like, those do not belong in the same video. My sniffing out, because I wouldn't even call it my interest, but my curiosity, I guess, has me going in all these different directions. And it feels like I'm just constantly like looking for light. And then like when I find something that's like dark and off, I either need to stay away from it or I go into it a little bit to see a little more. But I like can't stay long. It's weird too. I'm going to go back to Bashar. Someone commented, I'm in a Facebook group, and someone commented on his thing and said like, does anyone else find this kind of weird? Like about Bashar. And then people just attacked this guy. They were like, you stop trolling, get out of here. Like, if you don't like it, you should leave. And I mean, I get it, right? But like, it's like, I don't know. I think the guy's allowed to ask that. And he got like one response that was like, yeah, I was thinking it was weird too. Like, there just has to be this element that it checks out with your own knowing. Like any sort of channeled material that anyone's listening to, it has to check out. And if it doesn't check out, like push back. You have to. I push back on David all the time. You have to. You have to. Like, you have to. I don't know. It's just, you have to. I can't say it any other way. I don't know if people are afraid to push back. I don't know why people don't push back. I notice that a lot, like even just in everyday life. Like people don't really want to like create a stir or say anything or come across as dramatic, or I'm like, oh, who cares? Let's go for it. Like, it doesn't matter. People are going to think whatever they think. It doesn't matter. We need to make this right. And like something's not right. So let's push into it. But I don't think that's a very common, that's not a common way of being. More people, I guess, would rather be like, just not, no, I'm not going to say anything. Oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers or burn any bridges, or, there's all the sayings, the justifications why people don't actually say what they're thinking. I'm like, oh, ruffle the feathers, shake the fucking apple cart. Feels like we must. As intuitive people, as people that have a sense and seem to know more about reality than others around us, we've got to. It's like feels like a duty, an honor, honestly. I don't know what scares people to freeze and not say anything. Fear of rejection, being othered, people not liking them. You know what? But it's crazy because it turns out when you push back, things are rough and sticky, obviously, but like it ultimately ends up going better. And then people kind of don't really change. Like you still don't become the enemy like you think you're going to be when you push back or shake Satan's apple cart. Like it doesn't happen. Like people just kind of like morph, and because they're looking to still be liked and they want to people please and they want you to like them, and because you're seen as like the strong one that said something and they want you to know that they like you a lot, and it's fucking weird. It's weird, but it's true. It's like, wait, I just said a fuck ton of shit. You're supposed to not like me anymore. And then that doesn't happen. It's weird. It's very bizarre. But it is the truth in my own experience. I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Just random riffings in my mind. I always feel better when I just talk about whatever all these things are. It just feels like it gets them out. Because otherwise they're just like clumps, like clumped up puzzle pieces. They're just sitting in my head with nowhere to go. And I don't know that it needs to like mean anything or make any sense, or that there's like a big lesson in this, but it's not really my style. I think you just kind of get what you need to get from it. And that could be nothing. That could be an utter waste of 48 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. And then when you're on your deathbed, you'll be like, fuck you, Miriam. I listened to so many of your fucking stupid ass lives about Bashar and Roman Atwood. Those fuckers are long dead. And now here I am about to die. And I wasted my time listening to you. And then I'll say, see you on the other side. And then I'll pester you. As souls, I'll still bother you. And tell you things that you don't care about. Seems like my role here a little bit, at least in this moment, this iteration of life. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where all this goes. I'm curious to see how this Ask B thing goes. I was like, I'm already like anticipating the hate comments. Just based on the thumbnail. It's going to attract some fucking weirdos. I know it is. But it's fine. It doesn't matter. So we're really just looking for our people. And it has been a long journey just looking for like very specific people that resonate with this body of work and that are actually doing it and actually trusting their intuition and know that it holds significance. And even when it's hard, and trusting their intuition even when they don't really want to trust their intuition, because it would be easier to not trust it because everybody else isn't. Like, it's like shit like that. Like, where are those people? They've got to be out there. There's got to be more than just like 10 of us. I just want to build something that's like actually like rich in experience and has depth. Like a gooey, fluffy chocolate cake. It's just like decadent. Something real. You know, something that matters, not where we're talking about like AT disclosure or whatever the heck people are interested in because they've been told to be interested in it. That's weird. That's weird to me. When your interests are told to you, like, how much more programmed can we get? I guess we'll see. All right, bye guys. See you next time. Boop, boop, boop.